Welcome back to Success by Design, where we break down the mindset, philosophy, and the practical actions that shape a stronger and more resilient you. Today, we're going to be talking about self-esteem and self-confidence, two concepts that are often confused but fundamentally are very different. If you don't understand the difference, you might be chasing after the wrong thing. You might be setting yourself up, or even worse, your kids, for failure by missing what truly builds these traits. So let's get started. So what's the difference between self-esteem and self-confidence? The origin of the word confidence comes from the Latin fidere, meaning to trust. To be confident is to trust and have faith in the world, while self-confidence is the trust and belief in oneself, particularly in one's ability to engage successfully with the world. Now, self-confidence allows us to take action. It helps us rise to challenges. We can engage with constructive feedback, and we take responsibility when things go wrong. But confidence is domain specific. You might be highly confident in one area, such as martial arts or public speaking, but you're completely insecure in another, like cooking or mathematics. Or in my case, any DIY or labour skills or mechanical tasks that you have to do. In contrast, self-esteem is more foundational. It's an appraisal of our own worth. It's our own appraisal. It's not about whether we can perform a task, but it's about our intrinsic value as a person. Self-esteem and self-confidence often go hand in hand, but they are not the same. There's many high achievers like actors and musicians and athletes. They radiate confidence when they're in the craft, but yet they struggle with self-esteem behind the scenes. It's like they'll need constant validation. They struggle with the self-worth or the fear of being found out as a fraud. That's why we see so many still causing lots of harm through their use of drugs and alcohol. And this brings us to an important truth. Confidence is built through experience, but self-esteem is built through integrity. Confidence is your belief in your ability to do something. And that belief grows the more that you actually do the thing. You get better at speaking by speaking. You get more confident in jiu-jitsu by rolling and doing more jiu-jitsu. Every rep, every round, every time you step into that discomfort, it's an opportunity for you to build confidence. The confidence is forged as you improve. It's external in nature and it's situational. Like you might be confident in fighting, but not in public speaking. Why? Because you've had more experience in one than in the other. You see, confidence grows with repetition and proof. Like I talk about in Fearless by Design, competence breeds confidence. Self-esteem, though, is different. Self-esteem is built through integrity. Self-esteem is much deeper. It's how you feel about yourself. And then ultimately that comes from who you are when no one's watching. It's built when your actions align with your values. Like if you say that you'll wake up early, and you do, you build self-trust. It's like when you're fighting and you turn up to fight night, knowing that you've done everything in all the preparation that you said that you would. You went for the runs, you did the training, you did the diet, and you know there's no stone left unturned. Like if you say you won't gossip or you won't lie, and you hold to that, even when it's hard, you build self-respect. That's integrity. And that's also why relationships and your circle of influence hold so much importance. Having someone that you're completely open with and honest to about everything in your life, including the dark secrets that you keep, can really help within your day-to-day life of becoming the person with a high self-esteem. When you live with integrity, you send a signal to your subconscious that I am someone that I can rely on. You feel proud, not because you won, but because you are honest, disciplined, and true to your word. So how do we develop these traits? The foundation of self-confidence is successful experience. The more you engage with challenges and you succeed, even in the small little ways, the more confident that you're going to become. But in the absence of confidence, courage must take over. Now, Courage operates in the unknown, where there's risk, fear, and uncertainty. I could never have become a confident fighter if I hadn't once had the courage to step on the mat and risk getting beaten. Confidence follows courage, which is why it's viewed as the more noble. It requires greater strength and effort. Confidence is the reward for showing up scared, for stepping in before you're actually feeling ready, for that risk of embarrassment, failure, rejection. It's born when you say, I don't know if I can do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. That's what courage is. Now, self-esteem, on the other hand, is built when we honor our values. People with healthy self-esteem, they don't need to prop themselves up with external achievements, their income, or material objects or status. They respect themselves, they take care of their health and of their relationships, and they invest in meaningful pursuits. They're open to people and possibilities. They're tolerant of risk, and they can recover from failure well because the setbacks don't define their worth. They don't suffer from jealousy or envy, and not because they're saints, but because they've realized something really simple, that they're in control of their own lives. They don't need to sabotage someone else's success. They're too busy building their own because they're not operating from fear or insecurity. They're not guarded. They don't assume the worst. They welcome new experiences, and they'll take risks, and not recklessly, but courageously, because they understand and have a knowing that failure won't shatter them and who they are. It's likely they've fallen many times before, and each time they got back up. And why? Because their worth wasn't tied to a result. Why struggle is necessary. Modern culture has conditioned us to avoid hardship. But the struggle is where both confidence and self-esteem are forged. I think many of us who are fortunate enough to be parents forget this sometimes, and we hold the curse of wanting to make life much easier for our kids than the way that we had it. We worry too much about them falling, being embarrassed, being hurt, and we step in unknowingly, thinking that we're protecting them and we're performing this perfect role as a parent and guardian. But oftentimes, we're just doing the exact opposite by removing that adversity that helps to forge that growth. There's a great story that illustrates this perfectly. And it goes like this. There's a child wandering through the woods when he notices hanging from a tree a butterfly in a cocoon going through its chrysalis process. He notices the butterfly struggling to emerge from its cocoon. He sees a tiny tear in the cocoon that the butterfly is desperately trying to push through. He sees the butterfly pushing intensely against the cocoon. The young boy impatiently watches on with concern about the butterfly, wondering whether he should intervene or not. After watching the butterfly struggle for a while, he decides he has to help. So carefully, he cuts open the cocoon, making a larger tear for the butterfly to get out. Now, the butterfly falls out easily and drops to the ground. The young boy is elated to have freed this butterfly. He's made up to have assisted it in its time of need and its struggle. But the butterfly doesn't look like a normal butterfly. It's bloated, and its shape isn't how a butterfly should look. The butterfly tried to take flight, but it only manages some little hops and jumps and then lands again. And the butterfly is weak, because what the child didn't understand was that the struggle itself was necessary. The resistance forces fluid into the butterfly's wings, making them strong enough to fly. Now, without it, the butterfly remains weak and eventually dies. But we do this to ourselves, and we do it to our children. By removing obstacles, by cushioning failure, we prevent growth. We have to let our kids face failure, face adversity, so that they can have the opportunity to grow strong and develop the resilience that they need. In martial arts, if a student only drills techniques, but they never spar, they might have knowledge, but they won't have real confidence, because they'll know that they've never been tested. They've never had pressure. It's like those guys that claim sport fighting isn't real fighting because they can do eye pokes and gouges and groin shots. So they don't get involved in sport fighting because they say that they're too deadly. They're always shouting about how deadly they are, but they've never put it to the test. And realistically, as we do, they know the truth. Now, there's a Stoic concept coined by the German philosopher Nietzsche called amor fati, the love of fate. And it's a Stoic philosophy that encourages people to accept and embrace all aspects of life, including suffering and loss. It's about accepting that all things happen for a reason, turning challenges into opportunities for growth. The great Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The challenge is the path. Confidence and self-esteem aren't developed by avoiding difficulty, but by engaging with it, letting ourselves and our children struggle. One of the worst things that we can do, whether for ourselves or for our next generation, is to remove struggle. In Eastern philosophy, the samurai embraced shugyo, meaning austere training. They didn't seek comfort. They deliberately placed themselves in hardship to cultivate resilience. Just like I've spoken about on this podcast, there's a saying, you either win or you learn. Always keep in mind that losing isn't failure, it's feedback. But many people never get to that point because they fear discomfort. They avoid new experiences. They stay in the comfort zones and then they wonder why they feel stuck. They haven't let themselves fail enough to develop either confidence nor self-esteem. So how do we build real confidence and self-esteem? Number one, do hard things. Confidence isn't built by avoiding struggle. It's built by engaging with it. Take risks, make mistakes, and learn from them and use those lessons to grow. Number two, keep promises to yourself. Self-esteem grows when you prove to yourself that you're reliable. Set yourself small goals and follow through. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The only person that you can't truly lie to is yourself. In fighting, it's really important that if you say you're going to do these training sessions, you make sure you do them. Because come fight night, it'll come to bite you on your ass if you don't. The same goes for anything. If you say you're going to do it, make sure that you stay true to yourself and you do it. Number three, develop competence. Confidence isn't given. It's earned. Train, study, work on your craft until you know that you can do it. Remember, competence breeds confidence. 4, reframe failure. Failure is information, not a dead end. Learn from it and move forward. Remove that naturally egoic response of embarrassment and cowering away from failure. 5, let your kids struggle. Protecting them from failure is not helping them. Let them fail in controlled environments where they can learn to develop resilience. Have them do things that they don't want to do. The world is full of quick fixes, but true strength doesn't come from avoiding difficulty. It comes from engaging with it. As Epictetus said, difficulties show a person's character. So when trouble comes, remember that God, like a trainer of wrestlers, has matched you with a tough opponent. The question is, will you rise to the challenge or will you cut yourself out of the cocoon too soon? There's a great poem written by a young girl named Erin Hansen that encapsulates a lot of what I coach, and I thought it did that so well that I put it in the book, Fearless by Design. And I think it's a good poem just to finish off this episode today. So here's what she wrote. There's freedom waiting for you on the breezes of the sky. And you ask, what if I fall? Oh, but my darling, what if you fly? So much of our self-esteem and confidence is held back by the fear of failure. But what if, instead of fearing failure, we embrace that possibility of flight? Thanks for tuning in to Success by Design. If this episode resonated with you, or if you enjoyed the content, please, I ask you to share it with someone who needs to hear it. If you want to find previous episodes, click up on the end of this video. I'll go and subscribe and check back to our catalogue. If you'd like to know about learning mindset and development skills directly from me, head over to my site, tomblackledge.com. Until next time, take care.